The day Marvin the duck learned he was allergic to responsibility was the same day he accidentally became in charge of the entire pond and broke out in stress hives. Shaped suspiciously like tiny question marks, this happened at exactly 6:42 a.m., which Marvin knew because the pond clock a crooked slab of driftwood nailed to a tree felt. Judgmental, Marvin had been mid-waddle, thinking about absolutely nothing, which was his favorite thought, when he sneezed. Not a normal sneeze, a destiny-altering sneeze. He slipped on the morning dew. Pinwheeled through the air, fell off the dock with a splash, and resurfaced holding a clipboard. Marvin stared at it. The clipboard stared back. Spiritually, I don't remember owning this, Marvin whispered. The fog rolled in thicker, like it was leaning closer to listen. I guess I run this now, Marvin said to no one. Unfortunately, the pond heard him. And the pond had opinions. Willowblink Pond was not a place meant for leadership. It was a place where frogs ran creative brainstorms on lily pads and never created anything. Where fish hosted underwater town meetings but forgot to invite air breathers. Where a heron once tried to implement silence hours and immediately screamed at himself for being too loud. Otter had visited once. He left crying. Marvin had always stayed out of it. He liked breadcrumbs. He liked floating. He liked pretending problems were just reflections and therefore belonged to someone else. That morning, however, was different. Animals gathered. A beaver named Craig, who was built like a filing cabinet and had just as many opinions, slammed a stack of papers onto the dock. We need structure, Craig declared. A nearby turtle blinked slowly. I was sleeping. Craig ignored him. The turtles are hoarding sunlight again, he continued, pointing an accusatory paw. We earned it, the turtle replied, not bothering to open his eyes. Marvin began to back away slowly. Why am I here? He asked, hoping no one would notice him. Craig squinted. You're holding the clipboard. Marvin looked down. Oh no, the clipboard. By noon, Marvin's life was a mess. He had been handed 7 different problems, 3 major responsibilities, and 1 very persistent ferret who claimed Marvin had promised him a job. I did not. Marvin insisted. You nodded. The ferret replied confidently. That was a sneeze. The ferret shrugged. Same thing legally. The problems just kept stacking up. A goose demanded official flying permits for safety. 2 otters opened a smoothie stand, but refused to define what exactly was in a smoothie. A raccoon started charging emotional support fees for listening, but provided no listening. And then there was Regina the swan. She practiced dramatic exits every time someone said her name, which she encouraged everyone to do constantly. Marvin tried to make lists to keep track of everything. The lists made him nervous. The nervousness made him make more lists. At some point, someone laminated something. That was when Marvin knew he was in real danger. The officialness of it all was suffocating. By late afternoon, Marvin's feathers were frayed, his beak tasted like anxiety, and the clipboard felt heavier than before. He was drowning in requests and complaints. I need a solution. Marvin muttered, the words slipping out before he could stop them, and then another word followed, a terrible word. Taxes. The pond froze. Every creature stopped what they were doing and stared. What kind of taxes? A frog asked, his voice trembling with a mix of fear and curiosity, like a little. Marvin said, improvising desperately, everyone just gives one thing, a breadcrumb. A shiny object, good vibes, just one thing. That's all, to Marvin's absolute horror. No one argued. They all just nodded. That was the most terrifying part, the quiet agreement. And it worked. It worked well. Within days, Willowblink Pond transformed. Official signs appeared everywhere, lines formed for things that never needed lines. Someone installed a suggestion box that somehow judged you as you walked past. The frogs. Once free spirits. Now charged tolls for jumping between lily pads. The fish started charging rent for their reflections in the water. The otters rebranded their mysterious smoothie stand as a wellness collective and tripled their prices. And Regina the swan, she introduced drama fees. You may cry for free. She announced with a flourish, but anguish costs extra. Marvin watched the pond become ruthlessly efficient, and he felt something quietly break inside him. This wasn't the home he knew. At night, he floated alone, staring at water that no longer felt like his own. I just wanted a little quiet, he whispered to the moon. That night, as he was lost in his sad thoughts, a small turtle named Eloise waddled up to the water's edge, carrying a small, glowing jar. "What's that?" Marvin asked, his voice heavy. "It's leftover happiness," Eloise said softly. "From before all this." Marvin looked at the gentle light in the jar, and his chest ached with a profound sense of loss. He had optimized our world so much that happiness itself had become a leftover. The next morning, Marvin knew what he had to do. He didn't waddle. He marched. He climbed onto the dock, clipboard in hand, and faced the residents of the newly organized, terribly efficient pond. "I quit," he said, his voice clear and strong. The pond froze for the second time that week. Return the breadcrumbs. Tear down the signs. Give the pond back to itself. For a moment, there was silence. Then chaos erupted, but it was the good kind. The wonderful, messy, joyful chaos that he had accidentally erased. Signs fell. Fees vanished. Regina the swan made her most dramatic exit yet, straight into a bush, and decided to stay there for a while. The entire pond seemed to take a deep, collective breath, and just like that, it was alive again. Life at Willowblink Pond returned to normal. Mostly, it was still imperfect. It was still loud. It was gloriously unorganized, and Marvin floated quietly, no clipboard in sight, enjoying the beautiful, unstructured noise of his home. Sometimes leadership finds you when you least expect it, and sometimes the bravest thing you can do is give it back. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more.